Right, everyone, shall we get started? Can I just check, is the live stream up and running? Perfect. Why can I hear myself talking? Lovely, okay. That's better. Lovely. Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome to Sunderland. Massive thank you to Sunderland City Council, Michael Mordy, the leader here, for hosting our Cabinet meeting today. It's brilliant to be back as we make our rounds around the region for our Cabinet meeting, and it's lovely to be in your council chamber, so thanks for having us. Item 1 today is apologies for absence, and we do have a couple to note. So we've got apologies from Councillor Glenn Sanderson and Substitute Councillor Richard Weymouth. We've got apologies from Councillor Tracy Dixon, and today we've got Substitute Councillor Jane Carter with us. I don't know where she is. There she is. We have got apologies from John McCabe, who's our business member, but Emily Cox is here to substitute. Pam Smith from Newcastle, but Sajida Nawaz Bhatti is here to substitute. We've got Dale Owens' apologies from Gateshead, but Ian Burns is here as a sub, and Patrick Melia is not here today, but Catherine Ord is here as a sub. We also have apologies from Susan Dungworth, who's the Northumbria Police and Crime Commissioner, but Claire Penny-Evans, who's the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner, I know is joining us, and it appears she's just a few minutes late, so we'll have her here shortly. And I know that PCC Joy Allen will also join us at some point in the meeting. So there's a bit of a list. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest today? Lovely, thank you very much. And then item 3 is announcements from the Mayor and the Chief Exec. Henry, do you want to say anything?
Not yet.
Lovely. Well, for me, it's just great to be here and getting on with the job of delivering for the people of the North East. That's exactly what we're for as one united region, and that's exactly what we're doing. Since we last met, there have been a few updates to get through. Most obviously, we've had a budget, which impacts on a lot of our work today. We're seeing it as a thread throughout the meeting. When you cut through the national news, the North East won an awful lot out of Treasury in the budget and the announcements around it as well. On job creation, we have a 75 million Mayoral Recovery Fund and 96 million in the Local Growth Fund. That is job creation money that is designed to drive success and growth and jobs across the whole of the North East. Linked to that, we've got confirmation of our integrated settlement. That's coming our way. We'll have that integrated settlement from April, which is worth at least 1.7 billion to the region. On housing, we learned that in the run-up to the budget, we'll have the ability to direct £1.1 billion of Homes England funding for social and affordable housing right across our region, something that we know we need. I think that Homes England budget should be fully devolved. I don't see why quangos keep getting bigger, but it is a huge step in the right direction, and it means that our councils can turbocharge house building, which is what we all want to do. On transport, we saw after the budget confirmation, as requested, that we'll get around £75 million over 3 years to support in support for our buses. That means bus fares will be kept at £2.50 for adults and £1 for young people until at least 2027. There's also confirmation around the budget that government will give mayors and their authorities the powers to introduce an overnight levy. Now, nothing will happen fast on this. The powers don't come in until 2028, and I do know that there are mixed opinions on it, but I think it's what's best for the region. What I would say is that we cannot be left behind. We simply can't. We can't see other parts of the country implement this and take the cash that comes along with it and be left behind. I've spoken to hoteliers and people who work in hospitality, and they get it. The last thing they want to see is London and Manchester and Liverpool and Leeds spend hundreds of millions of pounds a year on tourism events, and we spend nothing. If the North East turns down the power to introduce the levy, it would be a disaster. It would hit the North East hospitality sector like we've never experienced. Think of North Yorkshire. They have a region much like ours in terms of rural tourism and coast. They're going to introduce this, and they'll get the funds to market the moors globally. We can't afford to be left behind. My promise is that these funds will go to supporting events and tourism and that industry right across the entire region. And over the coming weeks and months, we'll start to work with councils and with the sector to look at how we can invest millions of pounds into more jobs in this sector. Finally, Outside the budget, we saw that there are going to be changes to policing, that mayors will take over accountability for the role that lies with police and crime commissioners. The news was a really big surprise, and I know that government could have done more to work with our police and crime commissioners on this, but now we have to move forward. We'll be talking to our PCCs to see how we can transfer these powers smoothly, and obviously in Durham, we'll need an entirely new system in place that builds a strong role for the council leader. So, there's a lot here to do, but at the centre of our plans, we will be the public and giving them a voice in absolutely everything that we do. Joy, I don't know whether you want to move down to just over here or over there, which I think is where. Thank you. Welcome. Item 4 are minutes of the previous meeting. Does anyone have anything to say on the minutes? Are we happy to agree them? Lovely. Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is the draft budget 26-27 and then the medium-term financial plan. So the budget sets out how by 2029 we'll have worked together to invest £2.5 billion in the North East. That is a huge number. Some of that is funding that we've already secured, and some of it is new funding that we will secure to grow further and faster. What I want people to understand nationally and globally is that the North East is absolutely not holding back. We simply won't. We're not going to sit around and wait for London to tell us what we can do and when we can invest it. We're going to get on with the job, and we're going to get on with it really, really fast. To help us with this, we're now negotiating a new devolution deal with government, the integrated settlement. I'm really grateful to everybody who's played a role in this so far. This deal means that the North East gets treated more like a government department with a budget agreed between us and Treasury, and then the people in the North East's priorities is what matters. When the English devolution bill passes next year, we'll become an established mayoral strategic authority, which is a little bit of a techie rebrand, but what it means is that we will be in the top tier of devolved English regions. It also means that we'll have to keep moving fast to stay top of that pack. That's why this budget has at its heart delivery for the people of the North East. That means at least £1.8 billion for greener public transport, including the already announced metro extension to Washington. It means £25 million for creative industries so people can design or sing or act their way to a better career. It means £50 million into electric vehicle industry, growing the EV supply chain and making us the English home of electric car production. Delivery is at the centre of everything that we're doing here in this region. Whether it's childcare grants or bus stops, I think I speak for all of us when I say that we are really committed to making a difference every single day. As the Cabinet Member, Michael, do you wish to add anything at this point?
Thanks, Kim. Just really to say a big, massive thank you to Mags and the team for all the incredible work that's gone in preparing the budget to this stage and getting it prepared for the integrated settlement that's coming down. A lot of hard work's gone in, FDs across the region, cabinet members as well, big team effort, and I'm really looking forward to the budget in April when it gets set, because as you say, it will take the region to the next level and enable us to deliver on a lot of the commitments you've made in your manifesto, but we as a combined authority have also made to the region as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Mags, do you want to take us through the budget, please?
Thanks, Chair. Afternoon all. This report represents the initial draft budget for 26-27 and the medium-term financial plan for the North East Combined Authority. A final proposal will come to Cabinet in February for approval. But today's report sets out the financial framework for delivering the Combined Authority's missions over the period to 2029 and sets out an initial view for consultation on expected funding, expenditure and reserves, ensuring that resources are aligned with the Mayor's and Cabinet's strategic objectives and that financial sustainability is maintained. It is a balanced budget, fulfilling our statutory duty, and underpins an ambitious programme of investment and growth. It enables progress against the outcomes within the Local Growth Plan, Local Transport Plan, the New Deal for North East Workers, the Child Poverty Action Plan and the Corporate Plan. This year's budget and medium-term financial plan are being developed during a period of transition as the North East becomes, as the Mayor mentioned, an established mayoral strategic authority, bringing access to the highest level of devolution and an integrated financial settlement from the 1st of April 2026. That settlement will bring together a range of funding streams that were historically ring-fenced into a multi-year allocation formed of broad themes that provide greater flexibility, longer-term certainty, and increased local control over investment decisions. Certain funding streams do at the moment remain outside of the settlement, including our 30-year investment fund, but it is anticipated that over time the integrated settlement will become the default funding mechanism for all of the government grant funding that we receive. The integrated settlement funds, as I said, will be awarded through 6 pillars. Those are set out in the report. Over the next 3 years, this plan envisages over 800 million of capital investment and 900 million pounds of revenue investment, reflecting, as the Mayor referred to, the 1.7 billion pounds total integrated settlement. I will just say that certain funding streams have only very recently been confirmed, so work will be ongoing to finalise this report for approval at Cabinet in February, and of course to reflect input received through the period of consultation. The report also includes a proposed budget for the running costs of the combined authority and the proposed approach to funding them. These are set at a level to ensure the capacity required to deliver the authority's missions and to manage new areas of responsibility. Turning briefly to transport levies, the report includes the proposal for an increase of 3% in the Tyne and Wear levy, while proposals for Durham and Northumberland levies will be included within the February Cabinet report. The report also sets out the combined authority's usable reserves, which are forecast to be £486 million at March 2026, and sets out how those reserves are earmarked where applicable. The reserve strategy set out in the paper sets out the intention to maintain an unallocated reserve of £15 million, with amounts above this providing a source of investment for projects to be brought through the single assurance framework. Final word on consultation. As I said, the report here today sets out draft proposals for consultation. That consultation will take place firstly with Overview and Scrutiny Committee next week. The draft budget is available on the authority's website for the public to view. Individual briefings will be available for leaders, and there has already been engagement with finance directors and chief executives across the region. That, of course, will continue as the budget proposals are developed and finalised in advance of Cabinet in February. So, final comment, in light of the above, most of the report today is for Cabinet to note and recommend these draft budgets for consultation. There are, however, 2 items the Cabinet is asked to approve. These are firstly, support for the region's participation in the North East Electric Vehicle Cluster Programme, following confirmation of the North East as a priority region for EV manufacturing. That programme is described in the paper. At this stage, approval is requested simply for acceptance of the £50 million funding. Onward investment decisions will be brought through our normal governance routes. And second, to delegate authority to the Chief Executive to approve commissioning activity for Year 2 of the Economic and Activity Trailblazer, again to be brought through our procurement and assurance processes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mags, and I just want to add my thanks to you and your team and all of the finance directors across the region for supporting this. It's not easy and it is complicated, and we very much appreciate it. Does anybody want to come in on this item and comment on the budget? Okay, good. In which case, can I ask Cabinet to agree the recommendations? Brilliant. Thank you very much. Item 6, we're sticking with Mags as we go through the budget monitoring update 25-26 for Q2. I'll hand straight over to you.
Thank you, Chair. A much briefer one from me this time. This is Q2 update in terms of our budget monitoring for the current financial year. The report itself sets out that second quarter review and our Treasury management position as at the end of September 2025. I will keep it brief because there is not a huge amount of change compared to the Q1 update that we provided. In terms of corporate overheads, we are forecasting a net saving against the original budget, driven largely by higher interest income. Again, we covered that at Q1. And also an increase, a saving in corporate overheads, reflecting just timing of implementation of senior leadership structures and reduced use of contingency. In terms of our delivery programmes, we are still forecasting to be where we forecast at the end of Q1, which is 260 million revenue investment this year and just over 300 million capital investment. On a treasury management point of view, just cover this briefly, we've undertaken no new borrowing this year. We have made scheduled repayments as planned. Investment balances stood at 540 million at the end of September, supporting that strong interest income that I referred to. And I can confirm that the Combined Authority has been fully compliant with all Treasury indicators for the year to date. The report also sets out the reserves position, which I referred to in the first report. So that's all I have to say on Q2 update.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the item? You sure? Okay, good. Can I ask Cabinet to note the recommendations on this report? Lovely, thank you. No, still me. Item 7, the North East Combined Authority Performance Management Framework and Integrated Settlement Outcomes Framework. I'm going to hand straight over to Michael Mordy, who's the lead Cabinet member for this item.
Thanks very much, Kim. The North East Combined Authority will be designated, as we already heard, as an established mayoral strategic authority in the English Devolution and Community Empowerment Bill, giving the Combined Authority access to the highest levels of power and funding on offer. This will give us access to an integrated settlement from the start of the next financial year, providing certainty, transparency and flexibility for over 1.7 billion of funding from central government, covering areas like transport, housing, skills, economic development and the environment. To enable NECA to access these new freedoms and responsibilities and to make best use of them, we need to agree clear frameworks setting out what we are aiming to deliver and how we will do it. That is what the Integrated Settlement Outcomes Framework and the Performance Management Framework are about. Setting out the Combined Authority's strategic vision for our region and ensuring accountability to central government and to the people we all serve. Our performance management framework, will demonstrate how everything we do contributes towards our missions, and it will clearly define the indicators we will use to measure progress. It will capture the impact our investments are making, but also set out the breadth of the Combined Authority's activities in an organisation-wide delivery plan. Importantly, it will also show how the North East Combined Authority is working effectively and efficiently towards its objectives, making sure that we are maximising the value we deliver with the funding and powers at our disposal. And above all, it will ensure that this is done transparently and openly so that the people we serve can hold us to account for our performance and influence our priorities for the future. The outcomes framework for the integrated settlement is an important part of this. While the integrated settlement does not represent the totality of funding available to the Combined Authority, nor the extent of its ambition, it is nonetheless an unprecedented settlement for the region. It also marks a shift towards a model of accountability, focused on overarching outcomes we are seeking to deliver rather than purely on outputs. This shift is therefore also an opportunity to orient our investments around the long-term missions. To make this a reality, we need to ensure that the outcomes we agree with government align with those missions and that they are also captured in our wider approach to performance management. With the government confirming the quantum of our integrated settlement, it is important that we now agree with them the outcomes we will use this funding to deliver. Government have set a January deadline for this. However, agreeing those outcomes now will also allow the Combined Authority to start embedding the outcomes into its budget setting and strategic planning processes, as we are already doing with the Performance Management Framework. This will ensure the Combined Authority is ready to hit the ground running when the integrated settlement goes live in April. Therefore, Cabinet are recommended to agree the recommendations as set out in the report. This agreement will enable the Combined Authority to finalise both frameworks and begin the work of embedding them across the organisation and, most importantly, delivering on them. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Michael. I mean, for us, this is about freedom, isn't it? It's about freedom to spend the money devolved to us in the best interests of the people of the region, to give them more of a say over what they want to see us do, and then to hold us to account for delivering that. And that is what devolution is all about. So this, for me, is a really exciting next step for us as a region, and the fact that it's coming so quickly is testament to what we've done so far. Can I invite any questions or comments on the item, please? I'm assuming this silence is positivity. I can feel there must be positivity. Okay, in which case, can I ask whether Cabinet agree all the recommendations in the report as set out, please? Lovely, thank you very much. I keep going to turn this microphone off after I finish speaking at the end of each item, and then I forget it's me who has to introduce the next item, so great chairing from me. Item 8, Mayor's Fairs. I want North East families to have more money in their pocket. And it is simple as that, and that is exactly what this item and this decision on behalf of this Cabinet is all about. One way we're helping them to do that is keeping the bus fares as cheap as possible. And I am so delighted that we're in a position to extend Mayor's Fares until March 2027 as an absolute minimum. That means that the £1 young people's fare and the £2.50 adult single fare, that's 50 pence cheaper for every journey than the national cap, will stay. And it's working. The Mayor's Fares have seen almost 9 million more passengers choose to use the bus this year. We are bucking a national trend. That's massive. It's an 8% increase in bus passengers compared to the 1% increase that we've seen in the rest of the country. And now we've had more than 75 million Mayor's Fares tickets sold right across the region. This is one of the vital steps that we're taking towards a much bigger change. In too many parts of the North East, the bus services just aren't up to scratch yet, especially in our rural areas. If you are in a village or a small town, you're just not as important to a bus company. It's as simple as that. The companies are more bothered about their profits and that is the honest truth. And we have to change that. So we are underway with the process of bringing our buses back under public control. We know that it takes time, but the work is happening, and it's happening now, and it will make a massive difference to the people of our region. I'm going to hand over to Martin Gannon, who's the lead Cabinet member, to take us through the report, please.
Yes, I do. Okay. Thank you. I think this is incredibly significant. As you say, this is about putting money into people's pockets, but it's more than that. You know, we could just take £32 million and give it to people. It's about maintaining an absolutely essential public service. What we're witnessing is nationally, a huge decline in bus usage and availability of bus services over the past 40 years. And by the interventions we are making, we're beginning to turn that round. That's what it's about. Of course, it puts money in people's pockets, but also provides an essential public service. Now, it's a misnomer in some senses because people talk about public transport. And this is not an attack on private bus operators. Private bus operators are what private bus operators are. They are private companies who are out there to make a profit, quite reasonably, for their shareholders. But the inadequacy of the service that we have at the present time would be even worse if it wasn't support from local authorities. Notwithstanding this £32 million, the local authorities already provide support to the bus operators across the region of well over £100 million a year. You know, we fund the concessionary fare schemes and we provide funding for secured routes that would otherwise not be provided because the private companies can't make a profit from them. So something like about 40% of the income of the operators already comes from local authorities. And this is £32 million to provide affordable fares. Now, you know, would we like to do more? Yes, we would like to do more. What we need is regular, frequent, reliable, clean, safe and cheap public transport. This is part of the journey, and I think we need to recognise the achievement we've made. 33 million journeys during this year will be made on these reduced fares. That's saving people across the region £50 million. So we've gone a long way, but I think as the Mayor has identified, this is only part of a step on a journey. What we need is to regulate bus services. We as local authorities, right, collectively in the combined authority and with the Mayor, need to make sure we get value for money for the people of the region, for the considerable public subsidy we are putting into bus operators.
Thank you. Absolutely spot on. And you know, it feels like every single one of these meetings, we spend a really good proportion of it on transport. And the reason for that is not just because it's a massive part of our agenda and a big section of our priorities, but it's because it's one of the things that people in this region care about the most. It is one of the biggest enabling factors for them to accessing opportunity. And that's why it's so high on our agenda all the time. Can I invite any comments or questions on this item? I'll take Karen, and then John, and then Michael.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Martin, for presenting the report. I welcome the proposals because they will provide our residents, including residents of North Tyneside, with the opportunity for affordable travel to access education, training, employment, healthcare, leisure, etc., which of course is highly welcomed. And I would just like to mention a key issue, but as the Mayor's already highlighted, another issue for residents, of course, is accessibility as well as affordability. So it is important that we don't lose sight of the need for enhanced public transport accessibility in those areas often on the urban fringe, such as the northwest of the borough in North Tyneside, where bus coverage is currently pretty poor. So I look forward to further progress in bringing the buses back into public control, which will enable us to fully address these issues. But welcome the proposals. It's great news for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I mean, broadly welcome this. You know, I'm a councillor that represents, I think, the biggest geographic area in the country to get the magic number of electors. So whatever you do in my area will be a real challenge for transport. I've got 11 parish councils, so that gives you an idea of how sparse it is. But, you know, with the demise of the likes of the post bus, which was very good in the likes of some of the very sparse rural areas, you know, I broadly welcome this. I think anything that can reduce transport costs and increase the network and the coverage has got to be welcomed. I had a good conversation there with Tobin during lunch, and I did have quite a few questions that Glenn had put to us to put, but, you know, I'm quite content, really, that I think that the things that can be worked through with time. Glenn did suggest that perhaps you might have a working group on this about the fact that, you know, there's some areas, particularly in the rural areas, where phone signal doesn't work. How's that going to work? The issue with the pop-up not working on iPhones and all these sorts of things. Tobin's assured us it's work in progress and we'll get there, but, you know, I'll welcome it.
We will absolutely get there on those integration issues, and obviously we'll see that all come into Cabinet as and when, but you raised some really important issues about that rural connectivity. And when we think about that £2.50 fare, it's residents in wards like yours that I think about the most. You know, you think about somebody wanting to get from Bellingham to work almost anywhere else in the region, unless it's very, very local and wanting to use public transport, the amount of money that they're saving because of a set £2.50 fare is you know, it's huge. And it is those rural residents in the furthest flung parts of our region that we're thinking of when we're thinking about bringing our buses back so that we get that bus service, but also setting the fares so that they're not paying over the odds. Thank you very much. Michael?
Thanks, Kim. It really, colleagues have said a lot of what I was going to say, but really just build on what Martin says around it. This is the first step on bringing back the buses back into public ownership. Someone who represents one of the most deprived wards in the country, not just the region, I know how people rely on them buses, and as Karen says, to get not just to work, but to school, to hospital, to college, and these fares make that easier. So when we do take that step and we finally get control of the buses, parts of Sunderland in particular, Hetton, Houghton, the Coalfields, Washington, who have long criticised the bus companies for the lack of access and affordability, hopefully should see an improvement in their areas because this is absolutely fundamental to creating and connecting people to the opportunities we're creating here in Sunderland and in the other parts of the region, because people kind of get to the college, if they kind of get to the new jobs, them jobs are not going to have the impact that we want them to have. So that's why transport for me is fundamental for us to delivering on these promises. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, so much more than A to B. It's absolutely about access to opportunity. And I think the thing that we should never lose sight of is more people use the bus than any other form of transport put together. More people use the bus than that. And areas like Hendon, where you represent, it's critical for almost everybody. Any other comments on this item, Martin?
Just to recognise, sorry, the colleague from Northumberland, I think, you know, we will be moving forward. We'll be considering proposals in March, and then there's a further legal process beyond that. But I think this is part of the challenge that we face. You know, we recognise that at the moment, to some extent, as you could say, well, it's not us, it's the private operators. They're the ones who don't turn up in their buses. They're the ones who remove services. This will be our responsibility going forward. And I think it's one of the things I recognise and will concentrate on, that in areas of rural Northumberland and County Durham and parts of rural Gateshead, the challenge will be to improve services. But I think just one last thing is that we shouldn't kid ourselves that it's particularly good service in the urban areas at the present time. I mean, honestly, I get half a dozen phone calls a week to tell me about buses being taken off. You know, can't get from Felon back up to Deckham because the bus just didn't appear. And I've got to wait another hour for a bus. Reliability, that's another area when we go through this, that in the future we will be in a contractual arrangement with the bus operators. And one of the things I think I and many other of us around this table will be saying, you know, we've got to make sure those buses are reliable because people come, they rely on them. If they don't, they'll make alternative arrangements and bus usage goes down. So I want to see the most rigorous penalties in place for not complying with the contract. Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other comments at all? Lovely. Well, we've digressed somewhat, but this is absolutely about capping our fares up until March 2027, £2.50 for adults and £1 for young people to keep more money in people's pockets, frankly. Can I ask Cabinet to agree the recommendations on the report? Thank you very much. Item 9, moving on to North East Rural Growth Programme. Honestly, I never tire of telling people how much I love this place and how it is the best place in the world. I don't think I'll get any disagreement around the table about that. And what makes it so special for me is the variety that we do have right across the region. We've obviously got our 3 really bustling cities. We've got market towns galore. We've got vast swathes of rural and coastal areas. And the latter part of that can never be forgotten in this region, and it's what this next item is here to support. Today, we're setting out £8.5 million to support our rural and coastal areas so that we can invest in businesses, work with fantastic rural food and drink operators in that sector, and make sure that firms can access the skills that they rightly need in the region. I'll hand over to Andrew, who is the Cabinet member, to present the report, please. Thank you.
Just checking it's on. Thank you, Chair. One of the things that makes our region unique is our working rural landscapes. Just to build on the previous item, really, it's part of what makes the North East a place we're proud to call home. We have one of the largest rural footprints of any combined authority in the country, and our rural areas account for around 12% of the North East's economy. In County Durham, 60% of the county is classified as rural, with businesses based in these areas providing localised services and job opportunities for our rural residents. We know that rural communities are often very different from their urban counterparts and can face very different challenges, including access to transport, access to job opportunities, and access to affordable housing. We also know that while previous rural growth programmes have covered County Durham and Northumberland, Gateshead has often missed out, despite 51% of its land being classified as rural. And while previous rural growth plans have supported our rural businesses effectively, the support on offer has varied across the North East, resulting in something of a postcode lottery. So, we want to create a new North East rural growth programme that provides consistent support wherever you live, whether that is for rural businesses in Northumberland, County Durham, Gateshead, I don't know, keep looking at yourself, but or indeed for food, farming and forestry, anywhere in the North East, because building a growing and vibrant economy for all means making sure we support people right across our region. Cabinet will recall that we agreed an environmental stewardship, coast and rural investment plan in November last year. And over the past year, we've engaged with rural businesses and the organisations currently supporting them to design the next phases of activity to stimulate rural growth. Today, I am recommending an allocation of 8.5 million from our investment fund to deliver the North East Rural Growth Programme, a key part of our local growth plan. The new programme is expected to commence in spring 2026 and continue through to spring 2029. The proposals builds upon the foundations that we already laid, ensuring ease of access to opportunities that drive wealth and job creation, typically within communities that are disadvantaged when compared to urban counterparts. It will include a tailored small business advice service for rural businesses, including access to experts for specialist advice, and a regional farm advisory service where our farmers can receive one-to-one and peer-to-peer support focused on improving productivity, adopting sustainable agriculture, reducing their cost base, and agritech adoption. Our food and drink sector, rooted in the rural economy, will be strengthened through a farm-to-fork approach, connecting food production with hospitality and tourism. In fact, in County Durham, tomorrow we'll be presenting a motion to full council to protect and promote North East food security. We also have a portfolio cabinet position, which we renamed and focused on rural and farming. We do take it seriously. Through the North East Rural Growth Programme, we expect to support 900 businesses. We also expect that by spring 2029, more than 300 firms will have been given a grant, more than 450 potential entrepreneurs will have been supported to get the ideas off the ground, and more than 350 jobs will have been created. From our investment of 8.5 million, we expect to see a 23.1 million increase in economic output, and more tangible outcomes such as increased business confidence in rural community, the creation and development of an enterprising culture, and stimulating private sector investment. My ask of the North East Combined Authority, spit my words out again, Cabinet is recommended to approve 8.5 million from the investment fund to deliver the North East Rural Growth Programme as allocated by Cabinet in November 2024 in the Environmental Stewardship, Coast and Rural Growth Investment Plan and approved by the Finance and Investment Board on the 10th of November 2025. Second, enter into a grant funding agreement for the full value of the programme with Northumberland County Council as lead delivery partner. And finally, please extend my appreciation to colleagues at Northumberland County Council, Durham County Council, Gateshead Council and the North East Combined Authority for the hard work in writing this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And it cannot be underestimated the impact that something like this will have in our rural areas for those rural businesses. It's so important. At the weekend, I was up in Wooler. I went to Aggethren, which is just an outstanding Northumberland cultural site. It's a business. It's unbelievable. For their Yule celebrations, we've helped fund that out of our Events and Festivals Fund, which is great. But what really struck me was just the sheer number of incredible rural businesses present as part of both their supply chain, but exhibiting, selling their food, showcasing what they're doing. The breadth of it and the depth of it is just so unbelievable. And you could take that, whether it's North East Northumberland, rural County Durham, out in the rural parts of Gateshead, other parts of the region. We really need to be supporting more of it, because you could just see from the number of people who had flocked to that event and who were taking part of it and really enjoying everything that was made in Northumberland, you could see just how important it is to our economy. John, I know you wanted to come in.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We are supportive of the proposal, which strengthens the region as a rural exemplar. The proposal is built on evidence-based that underpins the environmental stewardship, rural and coastal investment plan, and fully aligns with the investment plan. We commend the Combined Authority for the breadth of the programme and responding to sector-specific needs and cross-cutting rural issues, while also stimulating innovation. It's the kind of ambition we need as we fulfil the devolution commitment as a rural exemplar. And I'm very proud of Northumberland's contribution to this proposal and the recognition and success of our existing rural programmes. As I'm sure Gateshead and Durham will be too. We need to make sure that the delivery of the programme continues in this way, building on the learning and practice at local level, including around food and drink sector, as well as the likes of the Taste of Northumberland offer and the mention of your farm to fork offer. We also need to make sure that we're capturing the learning through the programme and feeding this back in a way which we design and commission programmes. Rural programmes are not always going to follow the same traditional measures of success and value for money as our more urban comparators. But we know the immense value, as you've just said, that the dedicated rural business support models offer. We look forward to the proposals on the wider business support proposals, as well as how they will integrate with the rural business support and provide seamless business support infrastructure across all of the areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen?
Thank you. And thank you for the report. I really welcome it. Obviously, economic growth in our rural areas is absolutely vital to our success as a region, and a growing and vibrant economy for all is one of the things that we've identified as being priorities in it. So we'll be bringing forward wider proposals for business support in the early months of the new year, and they'll ensure that we're able to engage with businesses right across the region, helping them to scale up and innovate. And we'll also be developing a programme to boost businesses in the priority sectors identified in the local growth plan, which we're going to go on to later. But we recognise that business support is important for every business, and small businesses are the absolute backbone of our economy, as you've just talked about, Mayor. Over 99% of our businesses in the North East are SMEs, and we want our region to be a great place to start a business, to grow a business, and to sustain a business. But at the moment, we know that too many small businesses are finding it hard to find the support they need. And in our research in 2023, only a quarter of them sought external advice or information. So we're going to change that here in the North East. And the North East Rural Growth Programme is really just the start. So I really welcome the report.
Thank you. And this is a real crossover area, isn't it? As we've kind of crossed over between our economic portfolio and the rural portfolio to make sure that everybody's on the same page, using all the powers available to us to support those those small budding businesses to get off the ground. Martin?
I only want to come in to say I think this demonstrates, for me, the value of devolution and the holistic approach we take as a region. In that, yes, this is important in County Durham, yes, it's important in Northumberland, yes, it's important in a significant part of Gateshead, half of Gateshead, 2/3 of Gateshead is rural, but it's important to the entire region. You know, what happens in County Durham is, and Northumberland has equal benefit in Sunderland and Newcastle as well, with the urban areas. And I think it's fair to say that there is huge potential. You know, for example, just picking out of the air, the visitor economy. You know, we are innovating in ways in which we're going to promote the northeast of England as a destination for people to come to. And there's no doubt there's parts of Northumberland. I mean, we don't want to see them overexploited. You know, we've seen places like Barcelona that's overexploited. Okay, and you know the Durham Dales. You know, I mean, you think about the Lake District and the over tourism there. For me, the Dales in County Durham have everything that the Lakes has to offer. So I think there's massive potential there, and it benefits all of us. And I think it demonstrates, maybe I'm just seeing the world through rose-coloured specs, but I do think we, the people of the region, working together, are going to be much better at doing this than someone in Westminster. So it does show and demonstrate the value of devolution. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Any other questions or comments? Excellent, in which case are we happy to agree the recommendations, the report? Lovely. Item 10 is North East Local Remediation Acceleration Plan, and we're sticking with you, Andrew, if you'd like to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Certainly getting your pound of flesh out of me today, but anyway. Everyone deserves to feel safe in the place they call home. Yet too many residents are still living with uncertainty because of unsafe cladding. It is now expected by government that all mayoral strategic authorities, through their convening strengths, produce a local remediation acceleration plan to help accelerate the remediation of external cladding in mid and high-rise residential buildings. And today we present a plan to change that. bit of context. So the Grenfell tragedy in 2017 claimed 72 lives and exposed a national failure in building safety. 8 years on, despite reforms in funding, progress remains far too slow. In our region, there are 24 high-rise buildings in scope for government-funded remediation, and we know that these are progressing with our partners actively leading and engaged. Behind these numbers are families facing anxiety every single day. The number of mid-rise buildings in scope for government funding remediation is still being reviewed through the National Remediation System. Government has set ambitious targets, all high-rise buildings remediated by 2029, but without acceleration, targeted resources and strong partnership action, these targets will not be met. Our response is the North East LRAP. This plan will help to accelerate delivery and partnership. It sets out how we will collaborate to fix buildings faster by unblocking delays and aligning enforcement, identify risks quickly through joint inspections and data sharing, support residents and leaseholders with clear communication and practical solutions. And how? Through clear governance. We will establish a North East Remediation Acceleration Board, bringing together fire services, local authorities and the building safety regulator. This board will provide strategic oversight and escalate issues to government when needed. Number 2, joint working agreements. Fire services and local authorities will share intelligence, lead regulators and coordinate enforcement. This ensures resources are used efficiently and delays are tackled head-on. Finally, number 3, multi-agency responsive teams. We will deploy the right mix of technical experts, fire engineers, surveyors, housing officers on a building-led basis. This approach builds on what works locally and connects with national joint inspection teams. The challenges, well, let's be clear. It is very complex. Enforcement and remediation takes time and resources. Skilled professionals are in short supply nationally. Ownership structures are complicated, and cladding is often just one of several safety issues. Our ask of the government: to succeed, we need continued funding beyond 2026, supported enforcement and support to build capacity in the system. Without this, residents will continue to live in unsafe homes and national targets will remain out of reach. And the closing call to action. This plan is about pace and partnership. No single organisation can solve this alone. By working together, local authorities, fire and rescue services, regulators and government, we can deliver the safety and certainty our residents deserve. I ask that the Cabinet endorse the draft local remediation acceleration plan and the approach set out in the report. Let's make homes safe faster.
Thank you very much. It's such an important issue and very technical, but that's not a good reason for us not to address it. And we've got to be really clear with government, the resources that we need to carry this out. It's really important. Karen, I know you want to come in.
Thank you, Mayor. I really welcome the report and its importance for our residents. In Newcastle, we're committed to ensuring our residents live in safe and secure housing. From our stock condition surveys and getting to know you visits, we've been undertaking a huge programme of work to understand residents' concerns and their issues around housing and understand the position of our housing stock. So I really welcome this report, and really, for me, this is another concrete example of how we're ensuring no resident anywhere in our region is living in unsafe housing, and we're ensuring we keep putting our commitments into practice. I think it's very technical but very welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? In which case, can we agree the recommendations as set out? Thank you very much. Item 11 is the North East Local Growth Plan. This is something that's been a long time coming, and it sets us on a real path for growth. But it does more than that. It tells the story of our region, the opportunities available to us if we grasp them with both hands, which we will, and the opportunities we offer to the world as well. It sets out the infrastructure requirements and what we need to deliver everything in this plan. This is about 10 years of investment to transform this region. And I could talk about so many things in this local growth plan. It really is a thorough document setting out everything that we are and what we want to be. But there's two things I really want to highlight here: green jobs and defence. I recently went on my first mayoral trade mission to Japan. When I was there, I met with Tokyo Gas, one of Japan's largest energy firms. They want to invest in clean energy around the world. They're already investing in the UK and in the North East. So we met with them and we brought with us a sample of one of the most advanced solar panels in the UK. It's made in Seaham by a company called Mayoral. They joined the meeting and together we set out how we could grow this sector, how we could take their innovation, the thing that they developed right here in this region, around the world. I mention this because I really do think that we've got to take the politics out of this growth plan. I've been to Mayoral. It's incredible. I've seen their factory and their prototypes, and what I see is not arguments about climate change or the value of this industry. What I see is working class Durham families getting on with a good job and paying their mortgage from this green economy, along with 25,000 other people working in renewables in our region, whether it be in Blythe or along the Tyne already. And there are thousands more of them across the North East. And together, set out in this growth plan, we are going to double that number. Now, on defence, it's obvious to anyone that in the age of global security, it is obvious to everyone that the age of global security is gone. And if we want it back, we need to be ready to stand up for ourselves. Everyone knows that the North East has got a really proud history when it comes to defence of the realm. We build the things that keep us safe. More people from this region join the armed forces than from any other region in the country. And we are a stronger regional economy because of it. So in this growth plan, we paved the way for expansion of our defence industries, unapologetically so. It's an engine for growth. The government has got a defence industrial strategy and a commitment of £250 million worth of investment in regional economies, paving the way for thousands of jobs. Well, to me, there's no more of a natural home than the North East for this investment, and we'll be working very hard to bring new armaments and manufacturing home. When we invest in this, we do so knowing the difference between right and wrong. When we consulted on this growth plan, we heard from a lot of people wanting to make sure that we didn't invest in firms that are making weapons for use in Gaza. And I totally understand that, and I agree. We were the first to essentially say that we won't invest in firms if we can't prove that weapons won't be used for defence and not aggression. There's plenty who won't be happy with that, but I think it's the right combination of jobs investment and the safeguards that we need. As well as all of this, what we'll see in this growth plan is a real commitment to our cultural and creative industries, to manufacturing, digital tech, and to the foundations of our economy, as well as a commitment to growing our infrastructure and tackling child poverty, making sure we've got the skills that we need across the region to deliver that growth. All I want to do now is add a massive thank you to all of the officers, to councils and to cabinet members who've worked so hard on this, and to all of the many, many businesses across the region who've had their say to create this final product and the growth plan that we put in front of Cabinet today. Karen, as a Cabinet member, do you want to take us through the report, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Meth. And I think you've nicely summed up what the North East Combined Authority is all about, creating real opportunity, which is why that's the title that we've given to our local growth plan. Our local growth plan brings together our key programmes in one place, a single document that sets out how we deliver on our missions as we grow the North East economy and raise living standards. And of course, the North East has a lot going for it, a 54 billion economy at the heart of the United Kingdom, 55,000 businesses providing 860,000 jobs, 4 universities, 9 further education colleges, vibrant cities, towns, villages, and a beautiful place to live in and visit. But we also know that ours is an economy that has more to do in terms of skills, productivity, and GVA. All of us here are determined to change that. And our North East Local Growth Plan sets out how we'll do it, a plan for the next decade, through which we deliver a growing and vibrant economy for all, making the North East the home of real opportunity. The plan sets out how we'll deliver each of our missions, And I've picked out some highlights. So our first mission is home to a growing and vibrant economy for all, supporting business growth and innovation, using our £70 million North East Investment Fund to help small businesses and university spin-outs to grow, shaping the £30 million Local Innovation Partnership Fund so that it helps our businesses put cutting-edge ideas into practice, developing a North East rural growth programme, as we've just heard, to ensure our rural and coastal areas can thrive, boosting our creative industries, using the £25 million from government confirmed in September to support our creative professionals, businesses and young people to help them make the breakthrough that their talent deserves. Investing in ambitious capital projects, including Crownwork Studios in Sunderland and the Centre for Writing in Newcastle. And supporting the visitor economy, which we'll be talking about later. But for now, just to say that's a key part of our strategy, and we want to see it double in size over the lifetime of the local growth plan. And our second mission is home to the green energy revolution, doubling the size of the region's renewable workforces, as the Mayor's just said, to 50,000 by the end of 2035, developing flagship regional sites for offshore wind and the supply chain behind it. Our third mission is to become a welcoming home to global trade, attracting investment and supporting trade, including by building on our AI growth zone, which could create over 5,000 jobs and unlock £30 billion in private investment. Building on our status as a national leader in the automotive sector, with Nissan developing the next generation of electric vehicles. Fourth mission is to become a home of real opportunity, making sure that our people can access the economic opportunity we create, both in our high growth sectors and in the foundational economy. Whether that's through improving skills and employment opportunities, through our New Deal for North East workers, or encouraging all employers to meet our Shine employment standards. And of course, tackling our high rates of child poverty through our North East Child Poverty Action Plan. And our final mission is to be a North East we are proud to call home. We know that growth doesn't happen in a vacuum. We know that getting people into good jobs means making improvements to transport and housing. Our local transport plan sets how we'll deliver a green, integrated transport system, the Angel network, so that people can get to the jobs and training opportunities that they need. Our housing programme sets out how we will build more affordable homes and retrofit the ones we already have so that everyone has a warm, stable place to live. And finally, a word on the journey we've taken to get here. We undertook extensive consultation with businesses, organisations and the public before we produced our interim plan, approved by Cabinet and published in March. We then had further public consultation on the interim plan. This was followed by the government spending review, national industrial strategy and the national sector plans released in the summer. The government issued further guidance on what they expect to see in the local growth plans, and we've taken all of this into account when we've refined and amended our plan, which is before you. So I think we've got a really ambitious plan here. I'm really proud of it, as I know others around the table are. The recommendations are in the body of the report, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the growth plan? Yes, Martin.
Thanks, Chair. May I just say that the inclusion of the community voluntary sector in the local growth plan is welcome, both in its development and in its final form. The community voluntary sector is an important part of the economy and now is an important part of the region's plans for growth. And I think this is a notable, a distinct and a really valuable part of the growth plan and is very welcome. Thank you.
Very much. Karen, and then I'll come to Jane.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Karen, for presenting the report. I just want to say it is a really fantastic opportunity, and I'm pleased you mentioned green energy. I think green energy and green jobs are, of course, central to economic growth in the North East region. It's a fantastic opportunity to build on the existing cluster of green energy, offshore wind, advanced technology, businesses in our region, and to really make the North East the home of the green energy revolution. And that's not just because we love green energy, it's because of what that brings to the residents, the people that live in the North East region, the opportunities to improve the lives of our residents, of our young people, to boost and regenerate our communities, and support business growth and development. So I really welcome the plan, and thank you to everybody who's been involved in pulling it together. Thanks.
Brilliant, thank you. Jane?
Thank you. Thank you for the report, Karen. We strongly welcome this, given the local growth plan, this key strategic document for the region for the next 10 years, reflects the challenges we face in South Tyneside, such as on economic inactivity, child poverty and the need to attract investment and the opportunities we have for growth. We welcome the focus on vital sectors such as offshore wind, advanced manufacturing, creative industries and defence, all key areas for South Tyneside, and the importance of foundational sectors such as hospitality and health and social care, as well as the reference to support for coastal businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Martin?
Just very briefly, Kim, I think you summed it up when you said, you know, what we sometimes need to do is to drive ideology out of these things. It's about what's best for the people who live in this region. There's far too many people who can't afford to heat their homes. Okay, that'd be for a mix of reasons: the cost of energy, but also because the houses are old and are not energy efficient. And that's the driver in this. Okay, it's about what's best. I mean, I take a fairly simplistic view about these things. I think the future is about local production. You know, that's why in Gateshead we're developing our own energy company, right, where we're generating our own energy, heat and power, and supplying that at a discount to people, because I think the future is small scale and local. Equally, in terms of food production, Andrew made the point before, it's about supporting local farmers. I'm sure we all eat, green beans occasionally flown in from Kenya, right? But local food production is better for the environment and better for us and better for our economy and better for our people. So it's about taking the ideology out of these things and making the judgment on the basis of what is best for the people that we represent. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Michael?
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, just add my voice. I absolutely welcome this report. I think it's a brilliant document that effectively sets out our ambitions for the region. And to me, this shows the power of devolution to the region. Effectively, we've been able, as a region, collectively, 7 leaders and a mayor, sit around a table and co-design what we think our region needs for the next 10 years. And this is absolutely what devolution was meant to bring. I think it's a brilliant plan for the North East. It's a fantastic plan for Sunderland. It'll enable us to crack on, deliver for the people of Sunderland. And I really look forward to seeing it progress. And the fruits of this report, I really think this will put rocket boosters on growth across our region that can only benefit the people of Sunderland.
Thank you. Emily, I don't know whether as business representative you want to add to the comments.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think the business community really welcome a clear strategy that we can all galvanise around, and particularly the longevity of it. I think there's been a really decent and thorough consultation process, which again, we welcome you sourcing views from across the region. But equally, I think we also welcome the alignment behind the key strengths of this region and the fact that we are leaning into the things that we've got a history of being brilliant at and are distinctly different for us, particularly around offshore wind, life sciences, tech, digital and AI is going to be a growing area, so definitely welcome the focus on that amongst others. And then what this will allow us to do is provide the blueprint for both the public and the private sector to work together to really fight for this region and invest in the good and better jobs that we all want to see. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And kind of on that green energy theme, together with Lloyds in the new year, we will host a major green energy summit in the region, something that I know we've been planning for a long time, and I'm really looking forward to showcasing everything that we've got. Any other questions or comments before I ask Cabinet to agree the recommendations? Are we agreed? Excellent, thank you. We have a growth plan. Right, item 12 is another really exciting item. We've backloaded this agenda, haven't we? So we've got some really nice meaty things at the end of it. Riverside, Sunderland, Creative Mayoral Development Zone. Sunderland Creative Mayoral Development Zone, Sunderland it's right at the heart of our vision for the region. We want to see blockbusters filmed on the banks of the Weir, and we're not frightened to say it out loud, with our homegrown talent both taking centre stage and working behind the scenes. So We'll continue to back Crown Works as a regional priority so we can see it get underway. But this is just one part of the vision for Sunderland, one where a creative mayoral development zone boosts the city's thriving art scene. I always say that where you are from really matters, where you live really matters, and that strong identity that we feel up here in this region comes across in the stories that we see on the TV screens and in music, and when we scroll through our social media. It celebrates our region and tells the world what we're all about. It should be a given that you can have a brilliant creative career in this region without having to pack up your stuff and move to London. More working class people should be able to thrive where they've grown up doing a job that they love. There are so many amazing, creative, talented people in this region, and every single one of them should have the chance to shine and to build thriving careers that match the ambitions that they have. And so that's why we're setting up this creative mayoral development zone together. It won't just be new creative opportunities, there'll also be really good plans for affordable homes in Sunderland's creative hotspots so that we can make sure that those communities thrive with great jobs and great homes as well. And this is all about delivering at pace, making sure that this isn't just something we talk about any longer, but something that the residents of Sunderland and the wider region can see and touch and feel and take part in. I'm going to first of all come to Henry to take us through a little bit of the technical detail of the report, and then I'll come to Michael as both the Cabinet Member and the Leader of Sunderland Council to comment first before I open up to Cabinet Members. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. And briefly from me, if Councillor Kilgour's set out the what in terms of the growth plan, this is the how, isn't it? How are we going to accelerate this work here in Sunderland along the Riverside? So the Creative Mayoral Development Zone is really our vehicle to support, accelerate, if you like, development, regeneration here in Sunderland. Indeed, it reflects an approach we're taking across the three great cities in the region and indeed the region more widely. So it's part of a suite of reports you can see coming through. We considered the Newcastle and Gateshead Mayoral Development Zone last time round. You can see the logic here around making sure we're doing everything to get around local efforts to accelerate good things happening for the public. So that's what you can see here. The model in and of itself is clearly building on success and successful development here. If you look out the window, or if you could look out the window, if the blinds weren't down, we should have opened one of them, shouldn't we? You can see here in the City Hall, you've got Maker and Faber over the road, the brand new footbridge, Hickser, Culture House. They're all examples of really quite impressive public-private social collaboration to get things done in a part of the world where we actually have to work harder than most, don't we, to do this in the North East. But we think we can do more using the mayoral powers through the devolution deal and that Kim has secured as part of the integrated settlement and the budget, working together between the combined authority and the local authority teams here, which is really important, and with Homes England as a partner, we really believe we can accelerate the work here along the Riverside. So the report sets out in a bit of detail how. There's three things that it focuses on. One is the 2040 vision for Riverside, Sunderland, in particular looking at the housing component of that, and you can see sheepfolds across the river, really important to that. And of course, Crown Works is a big part of this too, as the Mayor has said. So the report really is about trying to get around those projects and do what we can collectively to accelerate them now and in the future. The recommendations all reflect really being able to unlock some revenue resource to crack on with that job. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Michael, and then I'll come to Karen.
Thank you very much, Kim. I'm absolutely delighted to be able to say a few words on this report because this approach is a really important next step for us as a city to build on the significant investment and development which, if the windows were open, you could see all around you here at Riverside, Sunderland today. And to do that in partnership with the Mayor and the Combined Authority is great. I'm proud that over the last 5 years, this Labour-led City Council that I have the honour of leading has successfully leveraged over £650 million of public and private sector investment, which has unlocked the delivery of approximately 400,000 square feet of Grade A office employment space, including the multi-award winning City Hall where we're here today, 650 high-quality new homes, the Housing Innovation and Construction Skills Academy on Sheepfolds, a variety of high-end leisure facilities including Sheepfold Stables, a new Riverside multi-storey car park equipped with high level of EV charging, and I'm sure you'll all agree it's the exceptional Keel crossing. But with Culture House, the new Sunderland Eye Hospital and the first phase of Riverside Park due to open in 2026, as well as the site remediation and enabling works at the Crown Works studio site due to complete shortly, the new Riverside Sunderland Creative Mayoral Development Zone will enable us to build on all of that investment and continue to drive regeneration here in Sunderland at pace. This partnership and the ambition and investment it will unlock through our work with the Mayor and the Combined Authority and with all key stakeholders, we will create vital new opportunities for residents and businesses here in Sunderland. But not only that, importantly, it will help move us forward as a region. It is another step as we work together to ensure we are all equipped to help drive growth across the region as a whole for the benefit of all of our communities, not just here in Sunderland, but right across the region. So I couldn't be more pleased to speak on this report. I want to place on record my thanks and appreciation to Kim, to Henry, to the team, both also to Catherine and to Peter and Patrick in my team here in Sunderland. We always said Riverside 2030 wasn't the ambition of this council. This will enable us to move forward with a 2040 vision and enable us to cement the regeneration. Sunderland's often said it's been a sleeping giant. Well, this will enable us to wake it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. The transformation in Sunderland is absolutely unbelievable. And when you think about the difference that bridge will make to residents here, you know, it really is just exceptional. And particularly on a match day, we've got a pretty big one of them coming up shortly. Joining up the two sides of that river by foot is really, it's a really inspired thing that the council have delivered, and, you know, all credit to you. But this is the next steps for us, isn't it? And accelerating that next phase of creative delivery in the heart of Sunderland for the benefit of the whole region. Karen.
Thank you. As with some of the other reports we've discussed today, this doesn't necessarily directly affect Newcastle, but we all have a collective interest in Sunderland's thriving local economy. Our economies are interdependent, with people working in Newcastle, living and commuting from Sunderland, and vice versa. And I know Cabinet members all share this way of thinking, but it is worth spelling out. When we invest in jobs, housing and infrastructure in one area of our region, we all feel the benefits. This is going to drive investment into our region, create more and better homes, more opportunities for residents right across the North East, and I really welcome it.
You know, there is no way that if we create 8,000 film and screen jobs on the banks of the Wear that it won't benefit the whole region. People from right across the region will travel into this city to work in those jobs, and we can never lose sight of that, just the same way as people from across the region travel in to Nissan every single day for really good jobs. So that's exactly what we're all about. Martin?
Sorry, just to say, Sunderland's a fantastic... Sunderland is a fantastic place. Right? The home of the region's premier Premier League team. Well, until Sunday, anyway.
So just remember who you're sitting next to.
I know. Anyway, sorry, but you know, Sunderland, like the rest of the northeast of England, faces huge, enormous challenges. Michael said it represents one of the most deprived wards in the country. You know, disposable income across the whole of the region, it lags behind the rest of the country. We have faced significant economic challenges. Sunderland, 70 years ago, was the largest shipbuilding town in the world. 75 years ago, 50% of the world's shipping was produced in Sunderland in 1950. Coal mining and shipbuilding, all gone. Think about the transformation that's taken place since Nissan and the tremendous transformation which has taken place in Sunderland. I think we need to recognise and take our hat off to Sunderland Council. You know, not easy at all, okay? It's not the easiest job in the world to attract international investment to places in the northeast of England, but Sunderland Council alone has made a significant contribution to improving the quality of life in Sunderland and across the whole of the region. I think the prospect of working in partnership, all of us together, as we will be on the Gateshead, Newcastle, Mayoral development zone, and in County Durham. Working together across the whole of the region, I think, is going to be significant. Not, seeing the world through rose-coloured specs. No, this isn't easy, okay? This is incredibly hard work, okay? But I think, given what's happened over the last 70 years in the northeast of England, Sunderland in particular, I think we need to recognise the achievements we've made and redouble our efforts to do even better in the future.
Thank you. It's incredibly hard work that we feel very privileged to be able to do, and I know that that's the conversation that Michael and I have had prior to this meeting, and we've got to get it done for the benefit of residents across the region. Any other questions or comments, or can we agree the report? Excellent. Very good, thank you. On to the last substantive item on the agenda, and it's the North East visitor economy. And this is about making the changes essentially behind the scenes that ultimately lead to us creating more jobs. It's about growing our tourism sector, attracting more visitors to what I think is the best place in the world. We've already talked a little bit about this on the agenda today. And we are storming ahead with Experience North East England. We're replacing the Newcastle Gateshead initiative and making sure that that tourism offer gets to every single corner of this incredible region. Obviously, this brings back into the discussion the levy. Last week, I spoke to BBC Newcastle during my... I had my phone in on BBC Newcastle, and I spoke to Michael, who runs the wonderful Cresta Arms in Northumberland. And he wanted to make sure that this money wouldn't be used elsewhere in the country. To make absolutely crystal clear, any money raised in the North East will be retained in the North East, and it will be invested in the North East, and it will only be bringing more visitors here and more overnight stays and more people popping into small businesses on our local high streets and our brilliant pubs and all of the fantastic things that we have to offer. And that's what the creation of Experience North East England is all about, and it's what our overnight levy will be all about. And that is a very clear promise from me. I know that we've got some work to do to make sure that everyone in our tourism sector knows that this isn't a tax on companies. We're not dipping into businesses' profits. It's not a sky-high fee. But what it is an opportunity to boost the number of people who come and spend their time in our amazing region. Karen, as Cabinet Member, please can you take us through the report? Thank you.
Thank you. As I said earlier, one of our missions is to make the North East home to a growing and vibrant economy for all. And to do that, we absolutely need a growing and vibrant visitor economy too. And tourism, both international and domestic, is crucial for our region and an important part of our local growth plan. We all know we have wonderful attractions here, including, but obviously not limited to, 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Durham Cathedral and Hadrian's Wall, over 300 miles of absolutely beautiful coastline, Northumberland National Park, thriving cities and nightlife, the Great North Run, and clearly now I've got to mention it because Martin did, 2 Premier League football teams. I'm not going to tempt fate by saying who's going to be higher in the league on Sunday than the other. But at the moment, the North East is not realising its full potential. While the recent growth in visitor numbers is encouraging, our region still has the fewest numbers of international visitors in the north, and we don't have a single organisation that operates on behalf of the region and tasked with helping to achieve this potential. We've got many excellent organisations, including our local visitor economy partnerships, obviously the local authorities, our industry partners, but we need an organisation with a clear strategic mission to boost tourism in the North East. So we're committed to changing this. First, we've set ourselves an ambitious but achievable target of doubling the size of our visitor economy over the next 10 years, taking us from £6 billion in GVA today to over £10 billion in 2035. Secondly, we're clear that we need a new organisation to lead this ambition, and we believe a repurposed Newcastle Gateshead initiative is the right solution for us. Cabinet will recall that since March, we've undertaken extensive engagement with those organisations and people working in the visitor economy as we developed our proposals. We commissioned Newcastle Airport to conduct a review of current and future arrangements, and the airport engaged with local, regional and national organisations and the Newcastle Gateshead initiative team. We've drawn substantially from this work to make our recommendations, and our main proposal is the suggestion that Newcastle Gateshead Initiative, NGI as it's known, is repurposed as Experience North East England, a new name to emphasise its new role. And our suggestion is that its mission statement should be to inspire and attract visitors to the North East by delivering innovative marketing, developing unforgettable experiences, and celebrating the region's unique culture, landscapes, and people, driving sustainable economic growth and fostering pride in our communities. Experience North East England will have 4 core functions, which will be the focus for future funding from the Combined Authority. And they are inbound marketing, domestic and international, product development, event strategic management, and partnership development. And it is worth noting that NGI is a private company, limited by guarantee, and decisions about its future, including formal changes to its name, will be made by its board. However, we've had productive conversations with the NGI board, and we're confident that these changes will be agreed. The recommendations for Cabinet are in the report itself, Chair.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Absolutely spot on. Any other questions or comments on this item? Karen?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Karen, for the report. I just want to say that I think Experience North East England is a really exciting, incredible way forward. I think it's ambitious. I think it will promote the region and its natural, cultural and heritage assets as a visitor destination. And I'm very happy to support these proposals, given the significant role that the tourist and visitor sector plays within the economy of North Tyneside, with its very important cultural heritage sites and its beautiful natural beaches. Thank you.
Absolutely spot on. In fact, do you mind if I bring Michael in? Oh.
It was just, I know Tracy would have mentioned it if she was here, but just to place on record our thanks to Alice and Nick and the team at the airport for all the work that they did. Just 2 airport directors think the same thing. I know Tracy's mentioned it a couple of times, so I just wanted to get that on record.
Seconded. We will add that to the official record. Any other questions or comments on this? Lovely. Are we happy to agree the recommendations? Great. Thank you. I totally lied. I said that was the last substantive item on the agenda, and it's very unfair to John, who is going to take us through item 14, which is a very, very important governance update. So my apologies, John. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I get the hint. I'll keep this as brief as possible. So there are 3 items for approval. Firstly, an updated version of the Scheme of Officers Delegations, which is part of the authority's constitution. Secondly, the creation of a framework contract for external technical advice and business case appraisals. And thirdly, the appointment of Jackie Lawton as a non-executive director to the executive board of Nexus. Thank you, Chair. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'm deeply disappointed. In advance, John told me he was going to do a 30-minute presentation, so, never mind. Any questions or comments for John? No, thank you very much. Are we happy to approve the recommendations? Brilliant, thank you. Item 15 is the date and time of the next meeting. We will be holding our next Cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the 3rd of February at 2 p.m, and we will be in beautiful Northumberland. So we look forward to going there. And I suppose, as it is the 9th of December, it probably isn't any longer too early to say, have a lovely Christmas, everyone. Thanks.